And good morning, afternoon. I think it's probably afternoon by now. And definitely hot out here, about 100 degrees. This is my bird bath so far. I'm working on attaching things to the bottom where it was just a block of cement attached to my three sticks. Anyways, the inside you can kind of see is a little on the rough side, still has holes in it. But this was on the underside. So, outside, the leaves look a little smoother out here. My apologies for lack of light. I think this one probably is one of the smoothest ones. But anyway, I have to put that base together so it looks like it belongs there, which I'm going to try to do with something that will make it look really cool. I'm just not sure exactly how to do it yet. I'm working on one thing at a time. I'm going to work on the inside of this bowl. It's going to be my reservoir, and I definitely want it to be able to hold a decent amount of water, because it's going to be running 3 little bird baths up here. So I'm going to be working on that right now, and going to try to hook up a tripod so that you can kind of see what I'm doing. Hopefully. So I'm going to pause this and try to hook that up, and we'll see what I can get done here. And okay, so I am turning that on a minute or two early because I need to get my project misted here, because as I've mentioned in other videos, mortar sticks to wet surfaces. So if I want it to stick and not just break off, I need to get this wet. And hopefully it'll stay wet long enough for me to be able to mix up my mortar and put it together here. The base kind of looks cracked. I hope it's not. I am spraying the ground around me with cold water so that I can air condition my place, because it's over 100 or around 100 degrees, and I want to be able to make sure that I can work without having to melt and go inside. So I'm going to put my other glove on so I can mix my cement or mortar. Find my trowel. So I'm going to add my water real quick here. And try to make it a little bit thin so that I have a few seconds extra to work, because I have a surface where most of the holes are kind of small and a lot of them covered. whole nother bag of this mortar, but this is the last of the last 2 bags I was using, so there's not a lot left. And I definitely got a little extra water in it, so. The noise mixing it in. It would take me a while to go get the other mortar to mix some more in with it, so I am going to try to work with this. And it's kind of like the thickness of a smoothie right now. It's that thick, so I am going to give it a second to thicken up a little bit. Now I get this a little wetter. If it's not wet, it will not stick at all. I did one once where I put extra leaves on the outside, and I kind of dried part of them, but they weren't dry all the way. And while I was putting them on, they seemed like they were sticking really good. But as the weather changed and things happened, it, oh, sorry. I gotta get this higher, my cement, so I don't have to bend down to the ground for every little bit. Anyways, those leaves, some of them kind of just broke off when the weather changed, and they should have been. Yeah, I thought they would stick for a long, long time, but they didn't. So, as thin as this is, I'm going to try to pour a little of it down here and just kind of give a little thicker layer to that. My leaves. And if it runs through, then hopefully if there's any holes in the bottom, maybe it'll seal it up. And these edges, I'm going to put more thicker cement on it, or thicker mortar, as it sets. And I want these sticks coated with a thinner mortar, and then I'll put on a little bit thicker as I go, but I don't want it too thick. I'm hoping this will give me a wet mortar surface to stick thicker mortar to. So. And I am going to make the leaves. They're kind of like little basins on top of each one of these sticks. So I want them to stick to mortar, mortar to stick to them. And I don't want my wood just soaking in the water, so I gotta coat it with the mortar too. Make sure that it's sealed up good. There's still a lot of sharp wires on the edges of these. But it is letting me kind of build on it a little. Add the edges. Not much space between these sticks, but if I can get it coated, that'd be good. Otherwise, I'll have to make the cement deeper. And I want more room for water, so I don't want it just to be all filled up with cement. That wouldn't work. These last two leaves I did, boy, they were having trouble sticking. They kept falling through all the mortar, kept falling through the leaf, and so I just had to do the best I could with getting as much as I could on it and hoping that it would stick, enough would stick so that I could put some more on. There's a few little wires in here. I'm just trying to coat them with cement. I'm sorry, everybody that's watched me start this knows that I'm using mortar, but you could use cement. It's just that it dries way too slow. And if it dried that slow, it would be really hard to set up. And it would take 24 hours for every little break in here instead of an hour. So I would really rather only take an hour between letting it set. And I would really rather put cement on this or the mortar so that it's a little thicker than I would try to go back and grind it thin, because then I'd probably lose half of what I got. And I don't want to make weak spots everywhere. And this just wants to rain through. If I can get enough to stick once, then I can finish it. Yeah, it's getting thicker, it's working better. Over the holes, over the rough wire. And I probably will grind this down smooth so that it looks like a leaf on the edges and not like a clunky something. So I think I need to mist the inside part of this other leaf. And there's thinner mortar in the center, so I don't really want to add a lot of water to that. Kind of thick down there. Kind of deep, I should say, with some water over the top of it. What I'm hoping is that the mortar will set, and any extra water will just kind of pour off later and help it harden. So, well, it's kind of working. Making progress. I don't know if the camera can see all that from that angle. So what I could do, maybe that'll help. And it's not thick enough to stick on there yet. Gotta get those wires set down in there. So the last thing I want to do is stab myself every time I work on this. When I get this done, there's going to be a pump down in there that I'm going to have to reach down in there and work on every now and then. As you'll see, probably some of the wires are kind of sharp sticking up in there. So once again, I'm going to try to get this bit of mesh covered. So I fold it over the tip, so we'll see if that gives us a double layer that it'll stick to. Sorry, the older I get, seems like the more one-track minded I get, I like to concentrate on what I'm doing, and sometimes I don't say much, and if I got it, it's easy, then I can talk. But if I'm thinking, trying to make something work, then just forget to say something. So this is kind of sharp. This one has a lot of mesh right here. The bucket is just about out. So I'll have to rinse it out and let this dry a bit, and then I'll have to find me some more mortar. And in the meantime, I might check out my leaves that I'm going to use for my top bird baths. So I will let this dry, clean up my mess in my bucket, and